I don't
So
know,
those
guys.
are
I mean, I think
exciting.
that they also think that these other cities are much more likely to grow, where there's not a lot of new building occurring in the Bay Area. Housing costs are out of control, and there's no way for new people to move there. But there is a lot of building of new housing in places like Utah and Nashville. Less so Portland, but Austin.
Yeah.
Austin, there's a lot of new building. Austin's becoming huge because they're allowing new building to occur. So I think that the deck is
What about
still
Sacramento? Sacramento's got room to grow or what?
Sacramento is built. Actually, Sacramento is the only place in
Yeah.
California that's growing. So let's
Yeah.
talk
I
about
think people are
Sacramento,
coming
right?
up
So,
from the Bay, right? Like people are, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
people are
yeah.
moving to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Is Are the A's going to have to move there for 3 years? So that was the big story 2 days ago, right,
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah. That was well, I mean we talked about it on a couple earlier this week on the pod. It was Carmichael Dave was the first one. He's a radio personality up there in Sacramento, kind of getting the rumor mill going. And then John Shea and Scott Osler co-published an article in the Chronicle, really talking about Sacramento. And for me, the timing just seems like somebody from the A's camp, you know, talked to some people in Sacramento and they got a hold of it. But it just seems like an A's negotiating tactic, just some leverage going into Tuesday's meeting for me. Just as a cynic right now, I just feel like because we also talked to Jared Isham, from Summer of Cell documentary. He was saying whenever you heard stuff rumblings from Sacramento, it always coming from one source. So which makes me think it's coming from an A source who's kind of ruffling feathers in Sacramento. Um, so yeah, they're
It does seem
saying
like
so yeah, they're talking
because
about going up to Sutter Health Field, the formerly Raleigh Field, the home of the River Cats, for 3 years.
Rob Manfred said, recently, I'm not in a position to tell you exactly what the answer is, but they've made great progress on that issue, talking about the A's temporary home. So, it doesn't seem like they made great progress with Oakland, right? Because the negotiation still hasn't happened yet. But if they've made great progress with Sacramento, the John Fisher is friends with Vivek, who's the owner of the
Okay.
Kings
Mhm.
and the River Cats.
I don't know. Does he own the River Cats too? I don't
Is
know.
he the owner of the? We're a really well sourced podcast
No, I
here,
mean
guys.
I know he owns the. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he did in 2022. He did. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So they're good friends. They don't have to change RSN, so it'd still be on Comcast or what is it, NBC Sports California.
Mhm.
Everyone assumes that they would get much less money. I don't sort of, it seems like if I was Comcast Sportsnet or whatever, or if I was NBC California, I'd be like, yeah, instead of $61 million a year, how's $5 million a
No,
year sound?
67. Yeah, 67.
Yeah,
Yeah.
67. Yeah. So like, uh, um, it's, I don't, I don't really understand how they would make. I mean, if they had to pay $97 million to stay in Oakland, I can understand how they would make more money in Sacramento, but I don't really understand how they would do that. And, it would definitely be more difficult to move to Sacramento and, have to share that stadium with the River Cats and have to, change, they'd have to spend a lot of money making a new building, probably a temporary clubhouse for the union to agree to it and stuff. So, Sacramento still is more complicated than Oakland, but I think the A's are clearly saying to Oakland, you don't have as much leverage as you think you do. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think the
And I don't
timing of
know.
it seems fishy to me heading into Tuesday's meeting. I think this got leaked, last week, so we got time to go in the news cycle. And so Oakland people hear about it going into the meeting. That's what I think. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that this information is coming out now, you know. Um, but
It's not a coincidence, but but I think
parallel pass
It's
part
parallel
four.
paths. And so,
Yeah.
does Oakland want to lose parallel paths again? So, uh, even if the A's move to Sacramento, I think it's not necessarily over. There's ways to still mess with the Nevada move, but I think that interest in continuing to fight will continue to dwindle. But I I think clearly the only I think there are two paths that I still see to keeping the A's. One path is this negotiation with MLB for an expansion team. And if the A's go to Sacramento, that path is fully closed off. So that would be very bad.
But
Uh,
even if, I
the,
mean, if they were only in Sacramento for 3 years and the expansion team would take 5, 7 years, like what do you mean that that path would be closed off? I don't understand. Like,
well, so I think the only way that Oakland can get an expansion team is
oh,
by
if they,
packaging
yeah, they stay
packaging
here.
it in
Yeah.
the lease extension.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if they go to Sacramento, then they're Oakland doesn't have any leverage left, right? They don't
Yeah.
have anything to package. So MLB would say something like, sure. At that point, MLB would say, Oakland, you can stand in line with Montreal and Portland and Salt Lake and Nashville. And for all the reasons we already sort of talked about, I think that Oakland is going to be behind Orlando. You
Yeah.
know, they're going to be 10th in line, and there's only going to be two spots. So I see that being not really a possibility.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
other possibility is it blows up in Nevada, and honestly, even if they move to Sacramento and it blows up in Nevada, like it's not a complete loss. I think for Oakland fans, they might end up coming back to Oakland after a few years in Sacramento if they get sold. And even if they stay in this might offend a lot of people, but I think if they end up staying full time in Sacramento as the Sacramento A's, it's drivable from Oakland, but it's not it's not the end of the world, but yeah, I might offend a lot of people by saying that. Uh but like let's talk about Nevada. So we had the boycott.
Well, I think,
We'll
well,
talk about
I want to talk about Sacramento still. Like,
Oh yeah, sure.
I
Sorry.
still don't think like, I just don't think them moving to a small ballpark is sustainable, like no matter where it is. Because like I'm looking, the capacity is 10,600. And it's like, yeah, that's probably more than their average crowd now, but at least they would have, you know, like,
I think 10,600 will be higher than what they averaged this season at
but
the
even those
Coliseum.
like
So,
random, 15, 20,000 games that the A's get whenever the Yankees or the Red Sox are in town now, like, those are huge. Like the fact that it's capped
yeah.
at 10-6 is brutal. And it's like, there's no way in hell, I think I've said this before, like, they're in this thing for 3 years, their revenues cut short for 3 years. No way in hell they're spending money whenever they get to the next spot, you know.
I think that they're hoping that excitement over having an MLB team in Sacramento will be high, um, even if it's only for 3 years. I'm sort of trying to make the devil's advocate argument for
I mean,
you
because
here,
think
but
about it,
like,
even if you sell out every single game for
yeah,
80 games, it's like you're capped at like around eight something, 800
well,
something
maybe
thousand. And
you
it's
could
like,
probably you'll probably be able to build some temporary stands somewhere. So maybe you get up to 15, maybe you get up to 13 or 15. Um, Maybe, yeah. I mean,
I mean, yeah,
I
last year
think,
they averaged 10,276. So they would be pretty much, that's like a sellout at Sutter Park pretty much every game. And it came out to 832,000 people. So,
it's clear, Alex. It's clear that the better, the better option. Well, I don't really have access to their books, so maybe it's not clear. But I think we tend to think it's clear that the better financial option for the A's would be um, Oakland for the next few years, right? They don't have to move anything.
yeah,
Um,
we get the
but
premium money.
but if Oakland is demanding $97 million up front,
Yeah.
and then maybe that's not the better option. And also, if Major League Baseball won't agree to this 1 year, I think the big question is that 1 year exclusive agreement something Major League Baseball can agree to. If they can't agree to that, then it's Sacramento. If they can't agree to that, then the question is, does can Oakland actually negotiate that $97 million number? Because I don't think that the A's will ever pay anything in that region, but you never know.
Yeah, and I want to talk to Casey too about that because he's calling it about $19.4 million a year over 4 year or 5 years, and Tim Count is saying $97 million extension fee. So like I think we were saying it's kind of they're talking about the same thing. I don't know if the
Yeah.
lease and the extension fee would just be stretched out over 5 years, and I don't know if
Well,
that's
yeah, I think what Oakland, what the mayor wants is the money now, right? The mayor needs that money now to
yeah,
try and spend it on violence prevention or public safety stuff.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, so that's going to be another thing, right? I bet the A's would want to say, well, we'll pay you each year. We don't want to pay you now. But that'll be a negotiation. What it sounds like is that whatever the deal is in Sacramento is on the table and agreed to. So, you know, it's gonna be a tight negotiation, maybe.
yeah,
If it's not tight, I think it means that the A's are just gonna say, never mind, we're just going to Sacramento. We don't know. We don't know. We just don't know how what it's everyone seems to think that they'd make a lot more money staying in Oakland, but like maybe they've decided we'd make a lot more money selling $10,000, 12,000 seats a game every night in Sacramento without a good TV offer. And we also don't know what, NBC Sports California is offering them.
yeah.
We just don't know. You know, maybe
Dude, the
maybe they're
ratings got to be
offering
so low, you know. It's like
the
like
ratings got to be so low. The
yeah,
ratings got to be so low, but maybe and I have no idea. Maybe this is some agreement that says, okay, we'll take a hair. We'll only pay you $40 million a year in Sacramento, but then you agree that we get the rights when you move to Las Vegas. In the Vegas market. And Comcast, the owner of
I don't
NBC, is like,
yeah.
oh, we'd love to have a cheap RSN deal
I
in
don't know how, I don't know
Vegas.
how that's like that's way
Who knows?
beyond.
Who
Yeah, yeah.
knows?